So we can share some of what people wrote if that feels like it. And you can tell me if you have better ideas. Now some people like to divvy up people into smaller groups to share, and I'm all for it. It's just not how my brain thinks. So some people are better at getting people engaged that way, but if people want to do it that way, that's fine. Otherwise we can just share, and it's okay if you feel you want to share privately. If you don't want to use the mic, that's fine also, but otherwise it's okay to use the mic. And then there's a couple other things we can do, which I'll tell you about shortly. So this was a song Swami Kriyananda wrote called The Secret of Laughter, and we'll try to do it impromptu.
And we would love for you to sing after you hear us sing the Lura Lura Laugh. Then we repeat it. So I'll do this and you sing. Okay.
The secret of laughter lies in the laughing, not in the search for joy. It's a swallow winging on the wind, it's innocence in a boy. Luru luru le, ro, luru luru la. Joy will come to anyone whose heart has learned to fly. Luru luru le, ro, luru luru la. Joy will come to anyone whose heart has learned to fly. Joy in the singing, not in the song sung, welcome but never crave. If you think that laughter lies in things, to things you'll be but a slave. Luru, luru, le, ro, luru, luru, la. Joy will come to anyone whose heart has learned to fly. Luru, luru, le, ro, luru, luru, la. Joy will come to anyone whose heart has learned to fly. Joy in the singing, not in the gaining. Grasp and you'll never sing. You could win the world and still be poor. Win peace and live like a king. Luru, luru, le, ro, luru, luru, la. Joy will come to anyone whose heart has learned to fly. Luru, luru, le, ro, luru, luru, la. Joy will come to anyone whose heart has learned to fly. Sing when the sun shines, sing when the rain falls, sing when the road seems strange. In a tempest sneeze the lightning flash and ride the winds of change. Luru, luru, ro, luru, luru, la. Joy will come to anyone whose heart has learned to fly. Luru, luru, le, ro, luru, luru, la. Joy will come to anyone whose heart has learned to fly. Sing when the sun. Did we do that?
We did that one.
Oh, okay. So let's just repeat it one last time. Luru, luru, le, ro, luru, luru, la. Joy will come to anyone whose heart has learned to fly. Okay. Okay, so these are all songs. Swami called his music philosophy in song, and one of the best ways to learn some of the key ways to live in this world of karma and duality, which is not easy, is to both listen to these songs, Swami said, and to sing them. He said, these were given to him by God. And he didn't say these things lightly, but he felt always as he was writing that he was doing a service to his guru, Paramahansa Yogananda. Somebody told Swami, you know how it is with us artists. And when there's the urge to write, you have to write, or when you have to paint, you have to paint. And Swami said, I never understood that because I don't identify as an artist. I'm simply a disciple. Here I felt I had something to share through songs, and so I wrote some songs. Then I felt I had done my work. So for many decades, I didn't write anything, and I didn't feel any desire to write. But he called them philosophy in song because he said philosophy Or teachings generally go through the brain, through the mind to the heart, but songs go directly to the heart. And he said, music is Ananda's coursing blood. So, this secret of laughter is something we are all probably looking at and yearning for. And as he says, if you see the words, joy in the singing, not in the song sung, welcome but never crave. If you think that laughter lies in things, to things you'll be but a slave. And joy in the giving, not in the gaining. Grasp and you'll never sing. You could win the world and still be poor, win peace and live like a king. So there's just a few of those words, because I know the words probably were new for quite a few people, but they have power. And as we practice them, Frank was sharing about how when he or somebody else who had the same name as him, maybe it's not him, listened to rap music, and he found the consciousness that those that music had penetrating deep within himself. And so it is with these tunes and these words, they change the way we think if we can use these that way. So anyway, what would be nice is, let's go around. Maybe some people want to share some of, either we can do a few things, share from what you've written, or if you have another question that came up, that's okay to ask, or if anything else from this workshop that you felt was particularly important to you, maybe we can hear from people. So are there any volunteers to get us going? Yes, sir, Frank.
I didn't write anything down, but
Sure.
I just free flowed it.
Okay.
Right. So having good friends and support system, I think the Sangha is definitely important in the support system as well. Having a great friendship, I deeply value and treasure our Sangha in Austin. I always love going to the meditation, just being a company of great souls in the seeking the same path, and then afterwards we have satsang at this like coffee shop nearby, which is we just discuss all kinds of different things, spiritual things, personal things, and then afterwards we even email each other on like things. Oh, you should check this out, and also check out this or whatever. Just like as a reminder to go back to that satsang. So I think like that's really key. The sangha, like go if you can. I guess. Simple living, high thinking. I started taking on like minimalism. I can basically live out of one backpack, which actually still think is too much because I actually don't feel like there's actually stuff in there I don't even need that I just keep for the sake of it. I think high thinking. I'm in a career where thinking is the mental acuity is the I guess the work to do is like translating the idea into a abstract form, which in the form of code, in the form of like an abstraction in computer, which doesn't even exist on the physical level, which is pretty interesting to say the least. And draw on soul strength, which is like we all go through meditation and reflect on the inner life. After I took the how to develop a harmonious relationship with Jyotish and Devi, one of the first lessons they inspire you to do is to start writing, journaling as if you're talking to Divine Mother, and basically writing a letter to Divine Mother. So I started doing that. I before I journaled too, and I stopped after the pandemic, but now I started back up again, and then just start every daily journal with Dear Divine Mother, as if I'm writing to her, which I find it very very relaxing, as well as like just putting thoughts out there. And then it should be I do it from like a free flowing. It's unfiltered because you're literally chatting with Divine Mother. It should be unfiltered. Drawing on your aura. I think like positive thinking, just the affirmation, chanting. I think when I do programming, I actually listen to chant a lot of times, and then actually sing, even in public places. I would sing, and I think that raises up the energy. I feel like these days I feel like I'm not really doing any work, even though I am doing work, but I'm taking myself out of it, which actually feels very rewarding by giving me more energy at the end of the day than coming in, which is I thought was pretty cool. Accruing good karma. The first thing that when I read this, which came to me when I after one of my psychedelic or ayahuasca experience, I started writing down a bunch of inspiration that came to me, and one of the things that resonated with this, which is I wrote, I still remember, is like the purpose. This is before my spiritual path, which is the purpose of life. I believed was to do things to help to move in life in an unforced way and help along the way. It's like the metaphor would be like something like if you're just walking down the street and you see a piece of paper or something or garbage, and then the trash can's literally like right there, and you're going the same way, you might as well pick it up and drop it off, kind of thing. That's I feel like that's like accruing good karma, but it's also like you're just helping. I don't know, just like it should be an unforced. That's why it says unforced, because it should just be a natural, instinctual response. I guess also depending on the mood that you're in. If you're in a foul mood, like why does someone just drop this piece of paper off? Why can't they just throw it right there? But if you're in the like positive, just like the one above, the strengthening your aura, positive thinking, you'd be like, you're actually, this is a gift that you're doing for Divine Mother. And then the last one, the blank would be like, I love the thing about the quote Yogananda, stand unshaken in the midst of clashing worlds, and I think it kind of resonated with the affirmation ticket I got, which is I am happy, I am contented, and for I hold my heart God's peace. And I feel like if you're calm and peaceful, it doesn't matter if like literally an asteroid come down to Earth to hit it, and then you'd be like peaceful, just meditating, accepting the ultimate power of the universe crashing down, and then you'd be fine with it.
Yeah, thank you. Pretty good. Pretty
I
good.
don't have quite that much, just.
Yeah, but just to say thanks, Frank, that's,
It was great.
yeah, very high energy. So
Well, I'd like
he'll get you the mic. Otherwise,
Okay, Mike's coming.
I have always been so lucky with really true and good friends. I have 3 different friends right now who, we talk a lot. They would do anything for me. I would do anything for them. One of my girlfriends lives in Phoenix, and we talk often and pray for each other a lot. And it's just it's a wonderful gift that I've been given. And I'd like to say something about Supriya and Mayatri. I have been in Ananda for 6 years, and I have found these ladies, they are so learned. They are so loving. And they do not judge. And I have been helped by each of them at different times in different situations. That one time Supriya prayed for me, and I was praying for a situation. And when I went into this situation, it was immediately solved because there was so much love from the prayer. So just know what kind of people we have running this. It's very dear. It really is very dear. Dear to
Thank
my
you.
heart.
Thank you. Thanks, Carolyn.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and I think that's been the experience of many people with Supriya and with Maitri. All right, who's next? Yes, Susan? And I think Renee raised her hand too. Is that right? No. Okay.
Ditto with everything that's been said so far. The one I added was that may be helpful as things hit is to take care of oneself. And I mean that on all levels.
Yeah.
You know, certainly the physical self. You were talking about rest earlier. You know, what is our sleep like? What are we eating? Are we tuning into what the physical self needs? And also self-love, affirmations. And so we have that foundation as life changes around us. So
Yeah.
that's one I added.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
That's really
Thank you. Yeah, taking care of oneself, very important.
Yeah, I'm just going to do the first one. I wrote something down on all of them, but I just noticed this about myself, and it's kind of selfish. So I like to give support to people. I like to do things for them. I don't like them to do it for me.
Yeah,
And I realize that that's taking that opportunity away from them. Because if
Yeah.
it makes me feel good to
yeah,
help somebody, then they
Yeah.
should have that opportunity. But
yeah,
it's hard
yeah.
for me.
How interesting. Yeah, this is something that's coming up. This is something that's coming up more and more at Ananda Village because more and more people are getting into their 70s and 80s and they require more help. But the whole thing is we help others and we forget that, well, at some point in our life, it's okay and right to receive help. So it requires a lot of careful planning to get people to receive the help they need, but people, yeah. So we have a whole compassionate care department which works with care and aging. And it's not always easy getting people the help they need. So it's very important. What you're saying is, at some point we realize there are times when it's right for us to receive help. So yeah, thank you, Linda. Who is next? Patrick.
Frank did amazing for not having anything written down. So I don't even know what to do. I have stuff written down, but it's not that good. So anyway, but I put on that additional thing, and one thing I think that Sagar you bring, and Frank, and we all just the humor. Like, you have to not take this too seriously. It is an extremely serious path, but there also has to be some fun to it. And I think me especially, I get too wrapped up in what I'm not doing. I'm not meditating enough. I could do this better, and just get bogged down on the details and don't just see the lighthearted fun of it. When it is fun, it's easier. As Frank was saying, when you don't really feel that you're working, there's more energy going into it. Day passes, you do a better job. So I know we were at Ananda Village, we were planting tulips, and we got to plant tulips. So I'm going after it, and Sundar's like, who wants hot cocoa? And I just remember I stopped and I was like, yeah. And it was just like being a little kid again. Like when you do jobs, when you help your dad or whatever you were doing, it wasn't work because it was fun. And when you take that out of it, it just becomes work and you lose interest and you don't do as good a job. I just don't think the energy is behind it.
Yeah.
So that's what I put.
Yeah, humor. Very much important. Very much important. Yeah, we have to make the path a joy. It's so important. Yeah. Anybody else?
share something.
Kimberly. And the mics come in.
I'm just, thank you.
So I'm just going to just address one of them, which was the simple living, high thinking. So I'm in a very wonderful situation in which I have a lot of abundance in my life, thanks to my husband, because he's just got wonderful karma and he's got a wonderful job. So I have a lot of abundance. And I try to maintain this sort of attitude of enjoying it, but not getting attached to it, which is, I don't know how well I'm succeeding, but that's my challenge, not to, enjoy the luxuries in the sense of like, these are just luxuries that, I wouldn't have on my own, but I have them now. And so I may as well appreciate them and be grateful. So I'm just, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like maybe I'm too attached.
Yeah, Oliver Black, who was Yogananda's, there's actually two stories, and I probably should stand up so people can see, but this is a very good thing. Karma is different from forced austerity. The ego wants to do things other than that which is right to do. So Once Yogananda's one of his most advanced disciples went to visit Yogananda at Mount Washington, and Yogananda, as soon as he came up, said, "Hey, why don't you come and meditate in my room? I'm meditating, and let's meditate together." So he went to Yogananda's room, and he opens the door and it's packed with all these gifts. Probably it was a month after Christmas. It was just stuffed with gifts. I mean, there was no place to keep anything. And Oliver Black was just stunned looking at everything there. And Yogananda was sitting there happily said, uh, Oliver, if somebody gave you all these gifts, what would you do? And Oliver Black looked around and said, well, I guess I would keep them. And Yogananda said, that's what I did. But the other part was when in the last year of Yogananda's life, somebody gifted him a Cadillac. And Yogananda would call it his hangman's dinner. He would say, when you are supposed to be hung, you get a dinner of your choice before the deed is done. And he was saying my time is over. Divine Mother's calling me home and she wanted me to enjoy this little gift. And so somebody gifted him the Cadillac. He was using him. But one of the new young monks, Anand Moy at that time, he was new and he was doing his gardening job, and he suddenly saw Yogananda get into this Cadillac, and it was driving out for a drive. Yogananda liked to take drives, and his guru had blessed him, saying, you'll never have to drive. There'll always be somebody who'll be there to take you around. So anyway, as the car was going, Anand Moy simply thought he was working. Fancy a yogi in a Cadillac, That's all he thought. He didn't say anything. And as he thought that, he saw the car stop. And then he backed out and stopped right in front of him, stopped right in front of Anand Moy. And the window rolled down and Yogananda was looking at him. Don't worry, Mr. Henry, that was his name. I own this car. This car doesn't own me. So he was saying, I am in control here. This car, it's my possession. I'm not possessed by it. Because Yogananda would say, too many possessions possess you, and you are then running around. But in his life, that was simply what was happening. Now, that doesn't mean you want to go get a Cadillac and splurge on money, but little things, whatever your thing in life is, some people have more wealth, some have less. We want to be smile millionaires, and that comes by realizing our soul nature. So that's very nice. Okay, anyone else? All right, Padmapada.
Well, I just noticed that when I look at all my answers, what I'm getting is be willing to look deeper and be willing to be honest.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot there.
Did you repeat that?
A bottom line for me was be willing to look deeper and be willing to be honest.
Yeah. Anyone else? And any other question? Yeah, Isabel. Jocelyn, sure.
Okay, I wasn't planning to do this, but I may say from my culture, it's very important to be close to your family and be in touch and touch people and hug. When I started this journey, this path, I was discovering myself something beautiful in company, but at the same time I started feeling like lonely around me because my family and friends didn't understand what was happening with me.
Right.
So I started traveling with my family, my husband at that time. And at the beginning was great for everyone. Like, wow, you go there and then there and now have a baby, and everyone is like, stop doing that. Your baby needs something to be established somewhere,
Right.
and material things and education.
Yeah.
So for me is one of my affirmation is like less is more. I'm happy the attaching myself of material stuff. This is allowing me to enjoy more, to be more present, to feel free. I respect my people. I used to be like work more and have more and achieve more, but now that I'm like attached of that feeling, I respect that, but I don't care what they are expecting from me.
Yeah.
But sometimes the ego, or I don't know, that sound, that external sound, start like questioning me, like, are you doing good? Are you doing right? You know?
Yeah.
So it helps daily meditation, journaling, serve others, do rituals, chanting, art.
Yeah.
And now that I become a mother, I understand how important it is to have my people around. And
Yeah.
this is like my manifestation, or my, like start surrounding myself with people that vibes in a amazing way. And I'm very grateful of that. Okay, I don't know if that makes
Yeah, it
sense, but
does.
this is something I
Yeah.
wanted to share.
Yeah, no. Uh, That probably was not easy to share, and I think what you are sharing is it's very hard to feel relaxed in a world which is so evaluative. It evaluates everything. Are you doing well? Are you successful? Are you not successful? Are you earning enough? Are you saving enough? Are you enough for your child? And it just gets overwhelming when we are in a world those are the values. But that's just the time we live in, and I think 500 years from now people won't think about it that way. But one of the biggest challenges people on the spiritual path face is they are not sure when they have different values whether they are doing right, because nobody else understands you. And like you said, having at least a nucleus of people who both understand and support you if and when you need support is very important. So yeah, it's nice that you are in touch with the group here. I think that will sort of be your raft wherever you need help. But it's the same for many people I speak with from all over the world. They don't even have something like Ananda, Dallas, So let's say you're from Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. You have to drive 4 hours to find another group of people who thinks a little bit like probably Renee does, and somebody else is even farther away. I know there's somebody in Minneapolis who keeps asking me, do you have even one more person who does these things? And it's very hard. So that family is right now at Ananda village visiting for 2 weeks with their 3 kids. So yeah, no, it's not easy. It really is not easy. And that's why communities, whether virtual, whether in person or urban, so important. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. And somebody else raised their hand.
I
Isabel.
did. Yes, I'm very grateful that I live here in Dallas and we have this amazing, beautiful house with these beautiful, amazing people here. And I think having a great support system has always been really important for me. And I've been coming to Fridays here, and Maitri has been teaching restorative yoga, which is unbelievable. And then we have dinner together, and having that dinner gathering after the end of a long work week that I usually have is like, it's like such a blessing. And it's like, wow, how lucky I am to be with such loving people and to have this amazing place. So I'm very grateful. And then my affirmation, I love, it says, I'm a channel for God's love and kindness to all men and women. Yeah. And yes, I believe in light, and I believe light is love. And I believe this room is full of love and light today. So thank you. And thank you for coming and sharing with us.
Yeah.
You're amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Isabel. Yeah, actually, that's also a nice thing to remember because, so many people mention this place means so much to all of you, I guess. So it's everybody, I assume people know, but it's everybody's responsibility to make this place sustain and survive and thrive in whatever ways it is. These days, it's easier for people to support a work financially because that often comes easy for many people. But it's harder for people to support a work by coming in person because just with the pandemic we get used to being at home and it's equally accessible. But again, that's where the expansion of our identity, sense of I comes. Sometimes we just say, well, what will nurture this work which means so much to many people? And maybe that, and I say this because I know how it is here. I'm at Ananda village and it's the same thing. You can watch the Sunday service online, or you can go to the Temple of Light, which is a 10-minute walk or a 2-minute drive, and watch it from there. And of course, the jury is split in the sense some people are perpetually online watchers, some always come in person. And we have to find out. This is where I said following what our heart wants is easy, and following what we feel we should be doing is hard. And I see that in myself because oftentimes Sundays I like to meditate longer, and by the time the meditation's over, the fire ceremony started. So should I dart to the center or should I watch the service, meditate a little longer, watch it later? This is something I grapple with, and I won't tell you what I do because I plead the fifth, as they say. But the answer is not either or, just to be understanding. Sometimes you come in person, sometimes you participate from home, but it's not just when special guests come that you should be here. And I say this as one of you because I led a work in Mumbai too before I came here, and I know what it is like. It's more to see this as a family, and you are there with the family for the family's sake also, not just for when you can get something nourishing from it. So it's both, either or. So thank you for sharing. Okay. Anybody else? And yes, and no, Maitri or Supriya didn't ask me to put this plug, just to be clear. Malini.
So, support system. To speak about support system, I came from India after my marriage here. So this has been second home for me. I did not have many friends, and at one point, then all my husband's friends were my friends, and then I thought I had a support system. But then it all changed after I had a divorce. Everything fell apart, and my entire family was in India, and I have a huge family back home. Suddenly, it felt all alone, and I felt that life had crumbled in pieces that I could not recover. And I always had this orphanated feeling. I can't go back. Now I have to support my kids. I don't have friends here. And I kept asking, where is my tribe? I need it so badly. Then I figured out, once I entered the path of spirituality is when my tribe started appearing to me. And this place, I call it my home, and it really means a lot to me. And Maitri and Supriya have made that feeling very pronounced in myself. So thank you both for that support. And I find so many faces here with always brimming with joy. And anytime I connect, I feel like I've known them for many decades. It doesn't really need an introduction to connect with anybody here. There's always love and compassion, always open and in abundance. So this support system, I think this is where I call home.
Yeah.
So thank you all for that.
Yeah.
And the sense of for a long time, I always heard the elders in my family say, oh, you should let go of your ego. You should let go of your ego. But after my divorce is when I really felt, who am I? There is no sense of I. It was always about my children. It was always about my husband. It was always about somebody else. As a mother, as a wife, we forget the sense of I. We give so much that we lose a sense of I. So I had to rediscover the sense of I, because I didn't know how to love myself. I didn't know how to support myself. I didn't know what this body liked or what I really want in my life. So I had to rediscover the sense of I. So thank you for I always thought that's a bad guy. that I had to let go of. Today I'm holding him very strong in my life.
Yeah. Oh, very nice.
Good karma, yes. I really thought that I don't know, I still have not figured out my purpose. I still have not been self-realized, but I have enough awareness that I've taken enough from Mother Earth at this point. But I feel that giving back to her gives me a sense of fulfillment. So I've taken small pledges like giving away one-time plastics. I don't use one-time plastics. I don't use straws. I don't leave too much carbon footprint wherever I can. I carry my own water bottle. So little things that I can help for Mother Earth. I feel a sense of bigger fulfillment there.
Yeah.
And passing the kindness forward. I know that I always felt asking for help, like you said, was made me feel very weak in somebody's eyes, but I am robbing them of the opportunity to help me. So I also realized that I may not be able to do anything at that point, but I can definitely get the help and pass it forward. So passing forward is something that I really learned, and that really helped me touch a few people's lives too. That has kept me going. So thank you for allowing me to share this.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Yeah, no. I mean, we have warriors here. Not very few people, at least all the people I know, have had lives, they have had their challenges and are still here through those challenges. So it's very impressive. Very impressive and not easy, as you said. Life is, yeah. And oftentimes when people say we have to get rid of our ego or we have an ego, they are basically saying you have to kowtow to what they feel is the right thing to do. They're not speaking from impersonal wisdom and they just want you to do what they want. So it's important to distinguish, that's why we want to tune into thoughts or guidance from people whose wisdom we trust, not from everybody who just says you have a big ego or something like that. So, well, it's so nice, so nice. Supriya and Maitri, you see, and Mark, so he's the unsung hero because he hides behind that big screen. No, no, no. But yeah,
Absolutely wrong.
yeah. And now we'll hear from the unsung hero.
Well, since I've been put on the spot there, there are a couple of things that jumped out at me, and Linda kind of said this already, but a big part of I think of growth for me is number one, where have good friendship and support systems, and I have that here, and that's great. But the part of this is ask for and give help. I'm fine with giving help, but when it comes to asking for help, that somehow seems selfish or something, or lazy. I don't know what it feels, but anyway, so I'm finding that, like Linda said, it's important to ask for help because that's you're giving people a chance to serve you, and for you to give them that energy back. And then finally, just I don't know what anybody else wrote for number 6, but I just this is something I've been trying to live by lately is seek ye first the kingdom of God.
Yeah.
And all these things shall be added unto you. And always try to remember to bring the energy up when it's like the energy is coming up and it gets stuck right here. So it's like bringing energy up to the spiritual eye.
Yeah.
You need to call him Bhima.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's all I've got to say.
Yeah. Well, many times Master used to give the example of Saint Francis, where he gave everything away until all he had left was the Word, the Christian Bible. And then some beggar asked something from him and he had nothing else left, so he gave the Bible away. And he was praying that night and he was very sad and said, I gave your word away, did I do right? And he said, the divine answered saying, you have become my word. You don't need that Bible. So you, at least I see, are so occupied in serving that in that very service you are doing what you are hoping you should be doing, which is seeking first the kingdom of God. And many times that's the case. We just get so engrossed in doing it. There's the story that Master told, as you know, Krishna told Draupadi, who was a great disciple of his, saying, "Why don't you practice the yoga techniques I have taught you?" And Draupadi says, "But I can't take my mind away from you enough to focus on the techniques." But the goal of the techniques was to focus on Krishna, and she was already there. So, but just to say, I know we all can do more and better and seek that high attainment more and more. But I know, and I hope you are saying this from the viewpoint that you are already doing a lot and you want to do more, not from, well, let me get my act together and start doing it. So, okay.
Little of both.
Okay. Anybody else? We have about 25 minutes or more. And the mic of God comes.
Yeah, raise your hand up.
My number 6s are don't resist what I resist persists, and regardless of the circumstances, go with the flow. That's something I need, and these are things I need to work on or learn. And yeah.
Nice.
I think a lot of it is I have a strong will, and it's not my will, it's thy will be done.
Yeah.
I have to remember that.
Yeah. No, but that's good. Awareness precedes control. So you can consciously do more of it. So very nice. Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Liz.
Very briefly, my number 6, because I'm all choked up at this moment. Not looking at me, but you did it. My number 6, what I thought when I read that, and this is not from me, this is from Nayaswami Krishnadas, and I don't think he would mind me quoting him, something he told me 25 years ago, maybe, when he left here. He said, no matter what you do with Ananda, because I was going to be one of the many, maybe 5 or 6 people at that time who were going to be around Ananda, Dallas, we were called then, to be trying to help things to stay happening because our main ministers were leaving. And he said, no matter if you're at Sunday service, whether you're cleaning the toilet or teaching a class or singing or chanting or whatever, he said, remember this, it's not what can I get from this, but what can I give? And when he said that, I got something. I got how important service was on this path of self-realization. I heard it. You did? Yeah. So just not only what can I get, even by being here. Together we are here. But so many, all of you have given by showing up, but also by participating in your good energy that we may all receive. So what can I give? Because by giving, we all receive.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, this is more of a question, actually.
Oh, hi.
So, I mean, I've made my sadhana part of my life, right? So I don't miss it. But I've started to realize it's become sort of a habit, and I don't know that I really get the benefit of it that I'm supposed to be getting. It's more like check, energize, check, meditate, check, and it's not, I worry about that, and I don't know if I should do maybe less with more concentration, because I think, I'm not meditating long enough, but I don't know that sitting around there longer is really any better.
The right thing. Yeah. That's a very good question. We don't want to plateau. Pranaba was telling me that just 2, 3 months ago after he went to not to Dallas, but he had been to another place, and he was saying it's very easy to see how people can plateau. And he was saying, we want to be aware that we don't plateau. And so, a good sadhana is a regular sadhana every day and once a week longer meditation. That's a good ballpark to remember, because that once a week longer meditation can help keep pushing at the limits of your daily sadhana. Otherwise, it can remain the same for a long time. Group meditations can help. Visiting something like Ananda village once a year or two, these are very important things, because we want to get ourselves into a strong vibration once or twice a year, and then we can be back home and we can continue our sadhanas. Now that can happen here, like something like we did here, but this was so short. Ideally I would have loved, and this is, I'm not saying this as a criticism, but if we had the time and the day had 48 hours instead of 24 hours, it would have been nice to have a Kriyaban meditation, a couple hours or something like that, where we can meditate. But you can only fit so much in a day. So, when we have retreats, that's what we try to do. But those things are important, and it's important not to neglect what our heart's telling you. If your heart's telling you you should be getting more from your sadhana, that is true. And that doesn't mean what you're doing is wrong, but you should be getting more from your sadhana. And what else can you do to add? It's very important. And I think some things that come to my mind is, I know somewhere in this year they are offering Kriyaban seclusions at the meditation retreat, which Deva Leela will know more of the information about. That can be very, very helpful. And group meditations can help in that same way. Learning to chant with a harmonium can help, and practicing chanting can help. So I think, yeah, if you ask your own heart, what could I do to dive more deeply in meditation, you might receive an answer. Because I have seen that somebody like you who's been on this path, and many others for enough years, they have the maturity to know the correct answers if they ask themselves. It's not that they need to ask somebody else, which is fine too, but I have a feeling, if you ask your own self, okay, what things could I change and make happen in this life, in this year, let's say, and if you find some answers, act on that, you might find it dramatically changes your sadhanas and meditation experiences. Yeah. No, but we are supposed to keep diving deeper, and the kriyas are supposed to get more and more magnetic. Yogananda had a disciple, Dr. Lewis, the first kriya yogi. And towards the end of his life, Yogananda told him, doctor, you've done enough. 1 or 2 kriyas, that's all you need now. And you practice a couple kriyas and he would be in bliss, because he had worked deeply on his kriya practice. And he was a dentist. There's somebody else who's a dentist, and during the depression years, 1930s, dentists were prime targets because they kept gold in their office, for dental fillings. And so to feel safe, he would go to his office in Boston, stand on the landing and do 3 kriyas until the inner light would appear. And then he would know he was safe. And then he would continue his work. So he was a dentist with 2 kids, just to speak. He took care of his old parents when they needed help and all of those things. So these things can be done. It requires, the more our responsibilities, the more planning, it really requires planning. We have to figure out how we can work with all our responsibilities, but can be done. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and if we don't do it, who will? We have the techniques and we have the support. So anyone else?
I thought about what Linda's saying. I thought about what Linda's saying is, I've had one of the most powerful meditations when I was in the Sacramento community. So I had gone, I'd taken a trip. I made an effort. It was a big effort to get there. And so it was honoring that part of me, my soul. I don't know if there's an explanation, but that was one of the strongest meditations and vision that I've ever had. And
Wow.
so I can't think of the word. What is the word when you go to the spiritual
Retreat.
No.
Pilgrim.
What?
Pilgrimage.
Yeah, pilgrimage.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah. It's very
really,
powerful.
really, really helps.
Yeah. Hey, Linda, the person in front of you is going to India. You just tag along with her and see how that works. But in your case, I felt, and you have to see if it works. But in some way, teaching might help, because after you've been immersed in the teachings for a certain amount of time, one of the best ways to dive deeper is to have to share them with others, because then you take up the reading, then you realize, well, just reading is not enough. If I'm not meditating deeply, I just share my words, and so you start meditating again. It gives a boost, and those little things can help. So it maybe that's something, if you can convince yourself and all those things work out, then that might be something that helps.
I just want to say she does teach our Raja Yoga
Oh, good.
magnetism class, and boy, she's magnetic.
All right, and more and better. Yeah, very nice. Yeah.
I just wanted to read my affirmation. It is, I welcome everything that comes to me as an opportunity for further growth. Yes, and I thought it was special until I realized my husband had the same one.
Yeah.
So we thought everyone had this, and this was
I
just.
thought it was a joke Sagar was playing.
Well, here's the thing. Let me tell you what that's about. So there's 14 affirmations. Sai Ganesh created them for the Om retreat. So I printed 3 copies of each. There's 42 there, because there's 28 people, but sometimes you get a few more. So I didn't want to have just 28 and somebody says Divine Mother has no affirmation for me, which is the worst place to be. So at max 3 people might have the same.
All right.
There you go. But no more. So
Well, we thought that was funny because clearly Divine Mother's trying to tell us something. Very obviously.
Yeah.
But I think it's great because on this path, we just are blessed enough to be able to talk through a lot of what we go through together. And we've had obviously a lot of trials come our way, especially since being on the path. And I think it's interesting how we sometimes feel like, oh, we're good people. Our heart is in the right place. We're seeking God and putting him first. So why do I struggle? Why is all this karma coming to me? Like, I've been a good person, God, why me? And I feel like that was way more of a recurring question in my life before, diving into the path. And now, this is where the affirmation really has come into play, because in any situation, I may immediately have that thought of why me, but now it's become way more common for me to step aside and look through it from the higher perspective and what is God trying to teach me. And if I keep suffering and it's still hitting me very hard in my heart, then obviously I have some kind of desire or attachment to this particular situation or thing or person or whatever it may be. And how can I learn from this and grow instead of basically wallowing in the self-pity and the negative spiral that you can go on. So I think this affirmation was very great and beneficial for both of us. So thank you.
yeah. Yeah, thank you. And we are aware of our difficulties, and so we think we are the only ones being walloped. Everybody's being walloped. If you go and talk to somebody privately, somebody will say, oh, my son has something happening, or my spouse had this happen, or my work life is, or I'm immigrating to another country, or something else is working. And Yogananda used to say, as a young boy, he carefully analyzed the lives of all the people he met. And he then made a list saying, oh, this person isn't happy, this person isn't happy, this person isn't happy. In the sense, something is going on with this person's life, which is very difficult. And so, I think that's probably, without meaning to belittle what you're going through, it's a universal story that life is hard. And it's hard in patches. That's the insidiousness of it. It's not, nobody wants to go to prison, because prison is all bad, no good. But life is equal amounts good and bad. So we are very miserable when things go hard and difficult, but then the good times come and we forget that and say, well, life's okay. I mean, a little bit is fine, but then again that happens and then the good happens and we keep fluctuating. So there's a lot of joy in life. It's just duality that we finally get fed up of and say, is there something that's perpetually joyful? And that is the state of self-realization. So, but you have a good spouse, and your good spouse has you as a good spouse. So, there's a lot there, because it's even harder if that's not on the same level. Then it's very hard to make things work. So, and he can bring you to Ananda village at no expense because he's American Airlines pilot. So, anybody else? Anybody else want to share? Yes, yes. Once the mic comes to you.
How does one deal with atheists?
Oh,
Both of my sons are atheists.
yeah. I think some of you can hold on to the mic, or I can keep it up here, whatever you prefer. Well, how does one deal with atheists? I think the answer is in the words we use, deal with. And atheists, there's something there which makes it seem like, oh, these are supposed to be dealt with, in the sense their heads not screwed on right. But not necessarily so. There's just atheists. Yeah, there's just atheists. That's his path to self-realization. Atheism is as much a path to self-realization as believing in God, because everything eventually leads there to that same goal. And I think just letting them be and being a good example to them, emphasizing for them to live by right values. They can be atheists or not, but if you don't know how to be kind to other people, that's a moral flaw. If they don't know how to live honestly, that might be a moral flaw. But being an atheist is fine. I mean, because as long as we are doing the right things, we'll be propelled in the same direction. So, yeah, especially if it's the mother and the son don't want to listen, and then there's no point in coercing them. So I would just let it
I
be.
shouldn't buy an autobiography of a yogi and give it to them.
I mean, this is where it's not either or. You have to gauge. If they sometimes are open to it, you might. This is actually a good skill to have. This is what Jesus meant when he said, "I'll make you fishers of men."
Yeah.
He wasn't saying, "I'll get you converting people left, right, and center," but to tune in sensitively to what to share and when to share, and bait people. And by bait, I don't mean the wrong kind of bait, the right kind of bait towards their own good. And it's a skill. It's a good skill to have, to see, okay, what does this person need? Maybe he needs a book which will talk about how to attract money in the right way, or how to be more creative, or how to develop concentration, and just give him a book that will help him in that way. And if he likes the principles, he'll be more interested and say, oh yeah, I want to learn a little more about this. And that way.
Thank you. My favorite line for an atheist is, I can't remember who said this, well, God's existence doesn't depend on your belief.
Where is our mic guy? Oh, Use absconded. Anybody else?
No, I was just going to say, I was just going to say, in answer to Asha has a couple of things that she says about people who are atheists or who espouse atheism, because I was very close to that point before I got onto this path, but I think it was just something I had to do, just kind of wipe the slate clean, because I grew up Catholic and I kind of rejected all that, and I needed to be able to find a path that spoke to me personally. And anyway, but what Asha says is, when people come to her and say, I don't believe in God, she says, well, tell me about the God you don't believe in. And they'll start giving her all these, things about, oh, God is a vengeful God, or he's a, or what, all the things that they don't like about what they've heard about God before. And she says, well, I totally agree with you. I don't believe in that God either. So I think it took me a long time personally to figure out that what I didn't believe in was other people's interpretation of what God was. And that's what attracted me to this path was Yogananda saying, don't let anybody tell you who God is or what the nature of God is. Do these practices, have your own experience, find out for yourself, have your own connection. And then finally, the last thing, what just keying in what Sagar said, she has a quote from St. Francis that she brings up pretty often. And it goes, preach the gospel at all times. When necessary, use words. So,
Yeah, there you
just wanted to share
go.
that.
There you go. Very nice. Very nice. Okay, any last sharing?
Frank has another.
All right, Frank.
Yeah, it just occurred to me like Swami Kriyananda, he mentioned it several times in his books where there was one occurrence, an atheist came up to him after one of his talk, and then he asked Swami Kriyananda. He said, "I'm an atheist. Can you explain to me the concept of God? As if I'm an atheist. Like how do you explain God to me when I'm an atheist?" And Swami thought about it for a minute, and then he said, "Why don't you think of God as your highest potential?" Which back in the days, I never really thought about God or just have no concept of God, but I always went into the self-improvement section of bookstores. And I feel like that's, I think that's a good way to, like, if your son is drawn to it, is like just to improve themselves. Like, just improve yourself in a
Yeah.
sense. I guess that's the first step.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, thank you, Frank. Peppa.
Well, I just would like to thank you, everyone, because this is my first time here. So thanks to Sonia who invited me to come up, because it's been a very stressful time, and it's gonna be this coming month. So I think this has been great to connect within myself and spirituality, which sometimes is something that particularly me, and I see you are in a different path altogether, but it's hard to follow in the world we are and the work we do and society, how we have to handle all these things. So anyway, I just think it's been a wonderful day to be here and sharing with all of you, and I appreciate Priya and Maitri for helping me to organize, and for my lovely Caroline there. So I just wanted to thank you. So it's I wrote a bunch of things I have to work on, but I'm not gonna share those because this is my first time, so I'm processing still. But I just wanted to thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
There you go.
Okay, I guess we are pretty much close to 5, but if somebody wants to share. Mark? Oh, no, okay. Okay, so why don't we wrap up with some healing prayers? It's always nice, and let's just meditate together for a couple minutes. And what I'll do is, I'll mention that we can all offer names for healing. And if you have a name you would like to pray for, including yourself, feel free to say that out loud. And at the end, we'll send out healing vibrations for all concerned. So let's just meditate for a few minutes here. And feeling the experience of today in our hearts. Let's feel in our hearts this deep desire to be completely free, to understand what all of creation is about, to realize our true potential. Let's just feel that aspiration. Let's feel we are offering it to Divine Mother, raising it up the spine to the point between the eyebrows, projecting it out to the world, to the power that created everything, our demand to be brought home. And now let's offer any names we might have for healing. Feel free to just mention the names.
Carl Taruk, Liz, Denise, Leanne, Jones,
Joanne.
Sam.
Jim, David,
Alex, Andrew, Cheryl, Amy,
Karen,
Christina, Christopher, Chloe, Isabella, Nancy,
Let's feel that Divine Mother sending her light, love, and joy to all these souls, empowering them. And feel that same light, love, and joy enveloping everybody who's in this group here. Let's pray together. Divine Mother, Thou art omnipresent. Thou art in these Thy children. Manifest Thy healing presence in their bodies, in their minds, and in their souls. And let's also feel that blessing, that light enveloping this place, Ananda House in Dallas, in Richardson. And let's feel it becoming more and more vibrant as a gathering place for all truth seekers who long for these truths, for these teachings, for these techniques. And let's chant Om 3 times once more, sending our well wishes, our energies on behalf of Divine Mother, filling this place up. Om